and big dailies. Okay, it is depends on their size of newspaper. Generally, we have to, in general, there is a structure. Otherwise, it is called as a setup of a editorial department. There is a editor-in-chief, otherwise executive editor, and hierarchy coming next is associate editor, assistant editor. Again, I told you there is a two functions. One is the function about the reporting, another function is about the editing. Here we have given in the image, it is clearly given chief of bureau in left to me, and right side news editor. And there is a hierarchy: chief of bureau, special correspondent, and staff reporters, contributors. All this is in one function, and another function is news editor, chief sub-editor, and sub-editor. Chief reporter is here. Sometimes will come under the reporting section only. Sometimes we'll look in both sections, chief reporter, because he has to be work as a mediator with the editorial department and reporting department, means chief of bureau. That is why here given chief reporter under the chief sub-editor. Okay, is it clear?
Clear,
Response.
sir, clear.
Right, we'll go to the next slide. Editor's position in the editorial. Here we have to know about the who is editor, who is publisher, and who is the printer. Generally, editor, we know about the editor, which is given bottom of the newspaper at the last page. Editor, publisher, and printer. Generally, publisher is the managing director, means is the head of the newspaper. Head of the newspaper means like is the owner of the newspaper.
Sir, but who is the gatekeeper?
Repeat.
Yeah, who is the gatekeeper?
Gatekeeper is the editor only, but now the scenario is changed. Editor also following the instruction of publisher. Actually, the gatekeeper in earlier days, editor is the supreme of the newspaper.
Yes, sir. Yes, correct.
In not in orally, it is the supreme of the in paper, means black and white. The publisher and printer is there, but editor is the ultimate. Whatever the news have to be covered is decided by the editor only. But the scenario is now changed. That is why here is one bold letter: editor's position in the editorial. That is why I have given here the position. But
The
we have to.
newspaper size, who's the sir decided for the newspaper size? 25 into 27 and another in the
That is a-
periodical and the weekly. There are different sizes.
Sizes is the editorial board with the
Yes, sir.
printer, because printer also known. Printer means printer is the one of the senior employee of the newspaper. From the managing side, means management side is the head. Senior employee of the management side is the printer. So he have to know which colors are available with the newspaper, and what kind of sizes of newspaper. Newsprint we will call here. Plain white paper is called here in the newspapers is a newsprint. So printer only knows the available of the newsprint and colors, all this, and size. It is the work of the printer. So with the coordination of editorial team, publisher is the owner of the newspaper, right? We'll go to the next.
Sir, the publisher are the chairman and director of the newspaper who decides which color will be the publish the newspaper.
Who decide?
Who decides the colors, the black and white and the color. Often, every day we are seeing the small newspapers are published and news printing in a black and white.
It is depends of the finance of the newspaper. If the management give more finance, they will give in the color newspapers. The editor is the responsibility for the news content. Only editorial department is the responsibility for the news content. There is another departments you have read in the your first year, first semester, and even in the media management, there is a one another paper you have media management. There is also you read about the various departments in the newspaper. Okay,
Okay, sir.
right. Now editors team is a editorial board. Sometimes it is called editorial board also. In some newspapers, editorial board, there is a managing editor, group editor, editor in chief. Managing editor, here we have to discuss about the managing editor. Managing editor means is the editor, and he will manage, he will work with the management. So whatever the management means, owner, if an owner gives any suggestions about the means managing editor here works as a manager, management positions, like he will give financial assistance, financial related matters he will look in the managing editor along with the editorial department, in association with editorial department. And group editor, another one is a group editor. Group editor means some newspapers have various newspapers, another newspapers like for example Deccan Chronicle, Financial Chronicle, it has, and another newspaper is Asian Age, and Andhra Bhumi newspaper. Now it is not publishing, even though. So, like group editor, some newspapers, otherwise electronic media, they recruit group editor. He is the boss of the all the newspapers and electronic media, even any web editions, whatever it is the group editor for the that agents, that news company. Next, editor in chief. Here is the main editorial section. Is the chief of the editorial department, along with the reporting department also, reporting function also. Sometimes another section is editor. Editor is the some newspapers, big newspapers, they have editor for each department. For example, investigation department also one editor, and crime department also one editor. Like sports also they recruit one editor. Here is in case of editor in chief and editors in one organization, there is the editor in chief is the key and is the responsibility for the all newspapers according to the PRB Act. Press Registration Books and Newspapers Act is there in according to the PRB Act. So editor in chief is the
PRB Act.
Editor in chief is the responsibility for the news content. Next, editor already I explained about.
Are there on the resident gatekeeper? What's the difference of the gatekeepers and the editors?
Sorry, Sami, please again.
Yes, sir. Let me tell you that now, sir. What's the different word for the gatekeeper and the editor, chief editor?
Actually, it is the gatekeeper only, but the trend is a different trend is now going on. Editor in chief is working or following the management policies. Earlier, there is a editorial policy is the final. Earlier days, some 90s, 80s, 70s, there is a more respectable for the editor in compare with the owner. But now the scenario changed. Now owner is involving in all departments, including the editorial department. Is it clear? Again and again asking Sami, any doubt more?
Yes, sir, it is clear. Never ask the question again, sir.
Okay. That scenario is changed now. Scenario is changed. Actually, editor is the gatekeeper, but now scenario is changed. Is following the management policies. Right. Next, resident editor. For example, some newspapers has, for example, English newspapers as various editions, Andhra Pradesh edition, Telangana edition. For example, the Hindu, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana edition, and Tamil Nadu edition, Karnataka edition, some different editions.
Listed editions are.
For that, they were recruit
Editions,
resident
no, sir.
editor for the particular state. Next, executive editor. Executive editor means is also similar to the like editor only, but a little less rank. He has also same superior, same functions, same characteristics as editor. Assistant editor, then magazine editor. All these are assistant editor means a little below rank of the editor, and magazine editor. This is also one of the, for magazines we have now, it is coming, all newspapers are giving some magazines on Sundays, and some other newspapers are giving in another special pages. For those newspapers, for those particular pages, there is a one editor who look after the those pages only. Next, news coordinator. Here, news coordinator sometimes is also chief reporter. We saw earlier one image. There is a chief reporter in the editor's editorial function. Sometimes some newspapers are chief reporter, and some newspapers are, the nomenclature calls news coordinator also. And another thing, another is a leader writer. Leader writer means here we'll see in the editorial page, some page number 3 or page number 5 in newspapers in English, page number 3 or 5 in the Telugu newspapers editorial. So for the titles, headline writings, we have one unit headline writings at the unit number 11, 10 or some 9. So who look in about the headlines of that news articles, and sometimes he will give the gist of the, here I'm telling about the leader writer. He gives some gist, means one short paragraph of the news article. We'll go to the next topic, role and responsibilities of the editor. A decision on editorial policy. Here very clearly mentioned, editors takes editorial policy. Actually nowadays the editors are following management policies. It is another work. We have to, as a professionals, we have to see the editor is the final only, instead of the management. A decision on the editorial policy and control over editorial working. Nowadays, all these are earlier days responsibilities and roles. You don't compare with the present scenario of the editor. Okay, entirely it is now changed. And another function is performance of managerial responsibilities also here given, but in reality it is not. But in paper, white and black, we have to see editor has the managerial responsibilities also. Another thing is, even now many newspaper editors who are recruiting their staff their own only, means for example sub editors, newspaper reporters also they were recruiting, but in
The script writer also.
Sami,
Sir, script writers will answer, yes.
please again.
Yes, sir. Script writers and report.
Script writers.
Yeah.
Script writers. Actually, in newspaper there is no nomenclature of script writer.
Okay.
In in electronic media there is a some news channels as a script writer also separately, but in electronic media there is a no, in newspaper means print media there is a no separate script writer.
Script writers. Sir, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
And editor is another responsibilities is a representative of the newspaper. All others please be mute. Right. Next, the roles of the different categories. Already we different positions already earlier we are discussed about the managing editor, group editor, and editor in chief, all these. Now as executive editor and news editor, otherwise assistant editor, news editor, means all these their functions are similarity only, don't be confused. Next, news editor. News editors is responsible for the selection of news stories and managing affairs in newsroom, and another thing is monitoring the reporting, coordination with the other departments. Here what are the other departments? For example,
Sir, photography department and
photography is comes under the
advertisement.
editorial department only.
Editorial department. Yes, sir. The advertisement department also, sir.
Advertisement department,
And
especially with the advertisement department here.
Yes, sir. That
Here is the main department is coordination with advertisement departments is the responsibility of the news editor. Here I have given you short short discussion only because we have only few classes. In these classes we have to cover maximum topics, right? Any doubts about this about the about these topics?
No doubt, sir. But my one question is there. So what's the responsibility of the editor in the
In the
sports disc, sir? Sports editorial.
editorial, dispose
Yes.
editorial.
Yeah.
Dispose editorial means
It's a commercial or the paid of news.
paid news, like that. Already I told you, the editorial, actually editor responsibility is editorial policy only, but now the scenario, the trend is changed. Now the editor is also following the management policy. So what the management means, owner says the editor is following, but the early days there is a no involvement of the owner. It is not appeared in the white and black, but the reality is management policy is following by the editor. It is clear. Next one is the sub editor. In any newspaper, sub editor is the key role. So there is in the book we have given some what characteristics of a sub editor given in the textbook. Once check it. And I've also given here one slide. Sub editor is a backbone of the newspaper, and sub editor is called surgeon of news. Sub editor is an unknown soldier. Sub editor is a creative artist. Sub editor is a blacksmith, architect, and sculptor. Sub editor is a brave person who is always remembered. Sub editor is an unsung hero. These are the characteristics of the sub editor. But in focus, who will be the news editor or the higher authority, higher hierarchy only the comes under the focus. But sub editor has many. Sub editor is the key role in the newspapers. Newspapers are electronic media, whatever it is. Sub editor responsible. Sub editor's quality is required. He has to be command over the language and self-confidence, decision making, and restrain, rewrite. All these responsibilities has to maintain a sub-editor. Next, duties and functions of sub-editor. First, sub-editor gets news from where he gets news. In the desk, sub-editor where he gets news. Answer, anyone?
From reporters or news agencies?
Yes, already we are discussed. Right.
Subscribe the news agencies, sir.
News
Sub-editor.
agencies and our own staff reporters and reporters
Staff
contributors.
reporter
Right.
and the
So once received the copy, the sub-editor will screen the copy.
in the copy. Yes, sir.
Whether the
When
copy
you
is
receive
suitable
the
for
press
the
note,
new, whether the copy is suitable for the news or not, the sub-editor only decide it. He has to look in many angles, like that we have not given in our textbook, and we will not discuss, but he has to look in the management policy also. Unofficially, he look in the management policy also, whether the copy is suitable for the management policy or not. Okay, screening and evaluate it from many angles, like international, national, regional, and local. That news particularly, he has to categorize it to the various pages in the newspapers. Otherwise, electronic media or newspapers, there is a particular pages for the newspaper. They were categorized: international newspaper, national, regional, and local, cultural, sports. So the sub-editor has to categorize the news copy, and he has to screen in many angles. Many angles means here editorial policy and management policy. So we are not particularly given in the white and black, but it is a management policy and editorial policy. Another duty and function is the sub. We will call sub-editor is a sub also sometimes. Sub also has to see if the news he or she is editing is a part of a bigger story that is appearing in the newspapers. So sub-editor function is to categorize whether the story is a page 1 story or inside story or a page 3 story or a regional story. So here, if he has to know about the quality of the news copy. And another function is organizing the structure of the story. We see contributors, means ground level reporters, some they don't give us in a order, but news has only credibility if it is in order. We know 5WH, whether it is in the structure of 5WH, whether it is in the order, means inverted pyramid style. Inverted pyramid style is there or not? All these looking by the sub-editor. If it is not in order, he has to organize it into the new structure. And another thing is the sub-editor is always conscious of the policies and philosophy of his or newspaper. Always I am telling you about the policies. This is here came. Must see is newspaper policy, means management policy. Okay, we know nowadays all newspapers are related to one political party or one organization or one company, one like that only. So whether the news is covers their newspaper or not has to decided by the sub-editor only. And now coming to the main function of the sub-editor is editing. Editing involves an in-depth knowledge of the language. Editor must know about the sub-editor must know about the language, grammar, punctuations, all this related to is news language to newspaper, either Telugu, either English or Hindi or Urdu, whatever it is. Any doubts in the unit 1?
Sir, no doubt, sir.
It is now we are concluded at unit 1. Any
Yes,
doubts?
sir. Yes, sir. No doubt, sir.
Clear.
The first unit completed.
Yes, tell me any doubts, or if you write any answer for any question in the newspaper first unit, you will get short answer, otherwise long answers.
Sir,
Will answer
the
easily.
sub-editor who decides the newspaper copy size increase or decrease. Sometimes the 2016 papers newspaper, the 8 plates are included. If the sub-editor decide to the increase the plate or not, so it's my question, sir.
No, sub-editor could not decide any way, because there is a editorial department, editorial team is there. Means news editor, otherwise chief of news editor, chief editor, sometimes chief sub editors. They were decided not by the sub editor itself. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Others may respond.
Yes, sir. We are clear.
We are going to the next chapter, next unit. Any other questions? Other
No
inquiries?
questions, sir.
Other queries? In general, queries, because sometimes we after now completed unit 1, we'll take 2-3 minutes of discussion about the other points, any related to our program, means our mass communication journalism program. About your
Sir,
examination, someone asked in another class, is any doubts is now? Samiullah, where are you from?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am at my friend home, sir.
No, means where are you working?
Working at presently, we are right for the Freedom Press New Delhi, and in electronic media, we are working in a Sharp India News TV channel, sir.
News channels and newspaper also you have.
Yeah, so electronic and print both are there.
Right. Any others? Now,
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
good afternoon, Anand.
Sir, Mohan, sir.
Srinivas.
Yes, sir. Okay, very good class, sir. You can carry on, sir.
Yeah, now I'm going to the unit number 2.
Okay. Purpose of editing.
Yes, it is a very short lesson, and you will get short answer and long answers from these two, from unit 1 and unit 2. Just purpose of the unit only itself is telling the what purpose of the unit only itself is telling. Yeah, we'll discuss. Okay. I will go with the screen share because it will be easy to understand.
Yes, sir. Screen share, please.
Yeah.
Please record these classes for future tense. We are listening
it will be open for YouTube also, but not immediately now.
Okay, sir.
There is a policy, university policy is pending. Once they will take a policy,
yes, sir.
once they can they have a policy, they can upload in the open platform also. Students can access all these
On social media.
lessons, all these lessons in YouTube.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Purpose of editing. Unit number 2 is purpose of editing. editing is the process of selecting and preparing written, visual, audio, and film media to convey information. Okay. What is editing? We have to know, you have to give your meaning for the editing also. Purpose, while we are knowing about the purpose, we have to give meaning of the editing also. Editing is the process of selecting and preparing written, visual, audio, and film media to convey information. For print media and electronic media, we are given written, visual, audio, and film media. So written and visual is comes under the newspaper, and written, visual, audio, film comes under the electronic media, right? The editing process can involve correction, consideration, condensation. Means sometimes, you know, newspapers as a limit. What is the limitation for the newspaper is? Any idea?
Maybe the space and
Space. Yes, space.
how much
24
content
by
should be?
7 in a newspaper size, and another thing that the plates that depends on the newspaper size and
For
quality, sir.
electronic media,
So in electronic media, sir, that depends on
No
the
limit.
time. That is space. Here newspapers for the space, and electronic media is the time. So
time mandatory.
time mandatory, and here the
Yes, sir,
space
time
mandatory.
mandatory.
So in that
Yes,
space
time
only,
Space, yeah.
we have to give our news article with
Yes,
the
sir.
maximum understanding readable of the reader. So that is why condensation we have to, the process is editing process is one of the process is condensation. All others please mute. There is a
Okay, sir.
disturbance. Yes. Condensation, and again organization. Editing process is involves organization of already I told you the functions reporting and editing. These comes under the organization, and other modifications performed to produce a correct, consist, accurate, and complete work. We see if there is a no editing process, sometimes we see one news pamphlets, and nowadays we are seeing in the electronic media, not electronic media, in social media, there is a no editing. We see only direct, everyone is a sender. With the advantage of social media, everyone is the itself is a reporter, is typing and sending and is uploading, but there is a no order. But in newspapers, otherwise electronic media, there is a editorial section, editorial desk. So they were looking the editing process. In the editing process, they were correct the copy and consist, and they look after the accurate, and they give a complete information to the reader or viewer. Clear? Next.
Yes, sir.
And presenting raw content to polished form. Already in the unit 1, we discussed about the news, what is called stringers, otherwise contributors. They give some, they don't know exactly. Now many of from the ground level, they were not professionals. So they give copy in their own writing.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is a raw content. Some news agencies, they give news, but it is also raw content only. We have to polish it into our newspaper policy. Okay, here understood. Presenting raw content means sometimes our contributors, otherwise stringers, they give news, and sometimes we will collect the news from the news agencies. News agencies
Agencies
also. It is not to the our management policy. That time we have to make the polish that copy to our newspaper policy in the form of our newspaper policy. That is called raw content and polished form. Okay.
Sir, my question is this. It's
Yeah, yes.
not a copyright. It's a contents of copyright, na, sir.
Copyright means
shared-
our sub editor only writing and giving. Where is the copyright issue here?
Yes. No, sometimes the both another small newspapers are copied from the big newspaper articles. So it's a number of time I will see the copyrights issues.
If there is a copyright in case of any copy, means content which as end of the that copy there is quoted copyright. In case of copyright we could not use it. If that is open only we can use it. Nowadays many of not giving copyright because they are open only. They are accepting for open access also. But sometimes we see in the news, sometimes journals, articles, research newspapers, research articles, there is only they were mentioned the attribution, but in newspaper there is a no mention about the attribution. There is a no rise of the copyright if the news collected from the ground level staff reporters, otherwise news contributors. Next, editorial team and sub editors, what they look in, they look in the copy as a news worthiness or not. We will get the copy, means news copy, from the reporters, agencies and some other sources also. So whether the copy is a newsworthiness or not. If a 2 days ago program covered by a news contributor and sent to the desk, whether it is a credibility or not.
Yes, sir. Credibility.
No, 2 days ago that is a news.
Yes, sir. It's not a credibility.
It is not a credibility, so it is a not a
Only
newsworthiness.
for the weekly
It is not-
papers they have used.
it is not a newsworthiness. So that
sir.
is why the editorial department or sub editors, they look in the whether the
trash.
copy is a newsworthiness or not.
No, they have the share to the trash.
Right. Next, choosing and selection news values that particular media organization. Here again, media organization means every media has a own policy about to follow their policy and select the news copy. If the contributor given some particular report from one party, otherwise one in a political party, but the news management policy is against that political party, they could not carry that news copy in their newspapers or either in electronic media. So sub editors is a already duties and functions we known in the unit 1. So here he has to choose and select news values that particularly media organization policy. Next one is priority. So each newspaper has some readers profile. Some newspapers we don't here name out the newspapers. Some newspaper, some A newspaper is a related to one political party. Some B newspaper is related to another political party.
Yes, sir.
Some newspaper C is another political party.
Yes,
So
sir.
there is a readers also, particularly they expect news of their political parties.
Yes, sir. Political party cadre and the
So
leaders are.
while selecting the news, priority also one of the aspect for the sub editor. So he look in the profile of the readers. And another thing is proximity. Proximity means nearness to the edition,
Applicable.
nearness to the our readers, nearness to the our place. For example, some instant
Aberrations.
which some instant, some similar kind of instant. For example, a road accident. A road accident happened in the Telangana, which
Reported.
casualties are some
Reported.
10 number. At the same time, the same kind of road accident happened in the Australia. There is also casualties are 10 only. But which is proximity for the newspaper in Telangana? A Telugu newspaper or
Different.
English newspaper or a Hindi newspaper. So their proximity is our nearness to the our place only is the proximity. They don't cover the Australia news. They cover only Telangana news only.
Telangana.
In proximity, not only depends, not only the part of the demography, means area. It is sometimes proximity is already we known profile of readers. Some newspaper is related to one political party. They give news about their political party only, instead of the same kind of meeting conducted in the same day, same place, same kind of audience, but they cover their own political party news meeting only in a big story, and other parties political meeting in a small paragraph or a small column or a single column. That is also called proximity. Proximity and the policy of the newspaper. Editing. Why it is required editing? The purpose of the editing is the unit name is the purpose of the editing. So every
Excuse me, sir.
newspaper. Yes,
Excuse
please.
me, sir. There is lot of disturbance, sir. Ask them to mute their phones, microphone. Lot of disturbance is there.
Please, all other mute yourself. Whenever you have to ask, only unmute and ask. If whenever I have asked you to raise your query, then only you open your mic. Right. Editing. Why it is required? Every newspaper has a one style, and they give a style sheet. So how much the headlines have to come for the 2 column, and font sizes, and every newspaper has a body text, headlines, body text, and subheadings that has a style that is called a
Jargons,
style
sir,
sheet.
also.
Yes,
Including
Samir.
jargons also, no, sir.
Jargon
Editing
also, jargon
Yes,
also. Yes,
Yes,
it will
sir.
come. It will come in the next slide. Right.
Thank you.
So style sheet. Every newspaper has a one style sheet. Heading, if it will come in a 2 column or 3 column width, that has some kind of font size, some kind of fonts. So that is a style. Every newspaper has a particular their own styles. And for editing, another why editing is required to know the facts and figures. If without editing, the figures and facts we could not believe it, because sometimes we see in newspapers they will give rejoinders also. Sometimes some facts and figures is a roll out, so that time they will give rejoinders also. Sometimes why the editing is required here? Offensive statements to control the offensive statements, editing is required for any media. So we could not give the same as a speaker in his meeting. He says whatever is expression, but newspapers, otherwise electronic media, print media, they don't publish, they don't broadcast the same statements. So editorial department edit the statements and give in they can edit the offensive statements, right? Next, sanctity of facts. There is a quotation. It is C.P. Scott, editor, The Guardian. Comments is free, but facts are sacred. See earlier slide, we discussed about the offensive statements. If without editing, it will telecast, it will broadcast, otherwise it will be published. We have freedom of expression. Everyone, according to the constitution, everyone has a freedom of the expression, but there is a limits also. But sometimes they don't obey the limits. They will speak whatever they know. But newspaper editorial department should eliminate the unparliamentary words. Like, here is a quote. It is mostly related to the offensive statements. Next, why editing? Here is another aspect is for accuracy. Accuracy enhances credibility. So the sub-editor to check the copy and recheck. Sometimes it will be sub-editor role is to check and recheck 3 times. Earlier days, they were checked repeatedly, two, three times. The copy goes to one editor, one sub-editor to another sub-editor for cross-checking. But now some electronic, some technologies now available. We are working on the computer monitors only nowadays. Earlier days, there is a no computer monitors, only manual editing only. On the print paper, sub-editor gives some checking and it will be forward to the other sub-editor. They were also cross-check. Now, some technology, means computer related technology now available. So we are little, our means sub-editors work also a little bit reduced because of some spelling mistakes, some grammatical mistakes. So nowadays, all these are functioning on the computer only. Some softwares is available now. No, they were only identify the spell checks and even though grammatical mistakes also. And another thing is a sub-editor. Sub-editor means here sub-editor all doing these functions is the process of under the process of editing. So the sub-editor has to check people, places, and organization names also. Numbers, dates, page numbers also. If we give these checking figures only, it will be credibility. In case of if we will give repeatedly wrong facts and figures, credibility of the newspaper will be damaged. Next, for the why the purpose of editing is another thing is spelling check, including words with more than one spelling, punctuations, grammar. All this nowadays available on the, for example, English is, there is a software for Telugu, otherwise another regional languages means Urdu and Hindi. There is a no particular softwares, but for English it is available. Yeah, we will discuss platforms, means Park Express, in page, all these in another. Maybe it is in the comes under the fourth or third unit. Next, why the unit title is itself purpose of the editing. Another purpose is to check the grammar. Grammar is the body of rules that describe the structure of expressions in the language. Good knowledge of grammar is needed to do good writing. Parts of speech, we will have to check the parts of speech errors also under the editing process. We'll go to the next slide. Now respond.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Sir, okay, sir. The lesson
Someone is asking, please.
the contents of writing in the article, sir, that depends on the English, sir. The academic English are different, and the general English are will be the different, sir.
Newspaper readers are different from the academicians, like school children. Newspapers readers are from the various categories. There
Yes,
will
sir.
be the farmers, there will be the students, there will be the professor, there will be the a sportsman. So relating to their content, their version only we have to give. Sami, mute. Once you
Yes, sir.
speak of speaking is completed, you can mute it because of somewhere your surroundings only noise is there.
Sorry for inconvenience of you, sir.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you can continue, right? So any other questions? There is another words to look in editorial in editing process. One is clarity. If we see the sentence, if it is a short sentence, it is easy to reader to read read the sentence. So we have to give clear meaning, simple, short sentence. There is a survey conducted by various scholars in all over the world. If a sentence between the 15 to 20 words or 10 to 20 words, short sentence only, easy to the reader to understand the meaning of the content. Okay, so maximum we have to give, maximum is a 20 word sentence. Sometimes now we are seeing in some newspapers in English or Hindi, they were give English and Telugu, they were give mixed of sentences, 2 or 3 sentences are mixing and giving, because they feel it that that is the language, standard language they are using for their newspapers. For credibility of the newspaper, they are using lengthy sentences, but it is not good for the all readers. But sometimes they are following the lengthy sentences also. And another thing is language. Language is a formal language, technical language, jargon language. For example, some words meaning, some words are same, but meaning is a different. In English, for example, over means completed. For in comes under the cricket jargon, over means a 6 balls. So this is also looking for the while doing editorial, while doing editing. Formal language and technical languages also nowadays. If a technical language which covers in the news articles and research journals, but in normal newspapers they don't give a technical words. Nowadays we are seeing in many newspapers and Telugu newspapers and English newspapers, they are giving simple words. So they are converted the technical word into the normal word to easily understand the reader. Another thing is economy of words. Here space, particularly to the newspapers, space is important for the newspapers and time is important for the electronic media. How the words should be given to the readers, it should be the right like you talk. We are speaking with the reader only. As a reporter, we are speaking with the reader, we are giving the information as a speaker, one to one, how they were speak interpersonal communication. That kind of uh, words we have to use. For example, if someone says one sentence statement, we could not give the same statement. We convert into our understanding, then we give to the reader to his understanding level. right? If a lengthy sentences or long sentences and long news articles that may not attract the readers to read it. So the economy of words is one of the purpose for editing. So we have to use less words to express the content in meaningful. Any doubts? Unit number 2 also here
No doubt.
concluded. Response, please. Response, please.
General question.
General question.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Uh, do we have any industrial tour related to
Industrial tour.
academics?
Academy. Actually, we plan to
Can
go electronic media, otherwise newspaper organization. Once you gather a 20 or 30 people, we will plan to go a tour also, means media tour also. We'll inform you in the group. We are also planning.
Oh.
Recently, our department head
because
Srinivas
it will be more helpful, sir.
Yes, Srinivas sir and our professor Satyareddy also discussed about these things only. To visit newspaper office, newspaper organization, otherwise electronic media. We'll plan in the semester 3.
Joining us for that
Okay. Thank
parliament
you.
also, sir. Parliament house.
Parliament, yes.
Yeah,
Parliament
yes,
is actually
important for the journalism, sir. So let
yes,
me.
it is there in regular universities, means Usmania universities. There is earlier some 10 years, 15 years ago it is, but nowadays no one, even in conventional universities also not following to take their students to the Parliament house. The trend now is changed. Earlier it is our earlier assembly also they take their students to the assembly also, and Parliament also, and important news organizations in the Delhi also. But now all available in the Hyderabad only, except Parliament. Except Parliament, remaining all available in the Hyderabad only nowadays. And very senior reporters, senior journalists are now available in the Hyderabad only. Various kind of languages also in various networks, means group of network company organizations also now in electronic media and television and newspapers also now available in the Hyderabad. Okay, we'll plan to go for the tour also in the semester 3. Right, we have another 15 minutes time. We'll go for the next chapter. Otherwise, any general questions?
No questions.
We'll go to the next chapter. Already assignments is uploaded in the group and in the website also. You have start your assignments immediately, because earlier last semester there were behind the last date, but we accepted because of you are in the first semester only. But this time it could not be happen. So you have to submit your assignments in time. We have given it 1 month time, January 5th. So start immediately to write your assignments, and you can write both sides also, but not clumsy. Relief space, we have called it is a relief space. So you have to write in a relief space and with subheadings. Okay. Next.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Unit number 3. Actually, unit number 3 is a typography. We no need to typography nowadays because earlier there is a manual arrangements of letters. So which letter takes how much space, all these they have to check while composing the letters on the on composing table. But nowadays we are using computer enabled softwares, so that is not required any typography, all this to know. But for in general, as a professional, we have to know about the technical aspects also about the typography. Type size, how is type measured? Typography is a Greek word. Typos means form. The letter in is in which form it is. Either it is a lengthy or widthy, or it has a corners or a round shape. It is a typo. Type means form, and graphy means writing. How the letter is we are writing is a typography. Clear? The art of
Yes, sir, clear.
the art of technique
Yes, sir.
of arranging type to make the language it forms most appealing to transparent learning and recognition. Why types required? Because recognition, if the letter is a see, we don't see in the newspaper the body text is not in the bold. Body text is a normal only. If it is bold, it will be looks clumsy. So we gives in the newspaper the body text is a normal text only. So the recognition of the letters by the reader is important. So that is why we have to follow the typography. Okay. Here in the textbook, once you go with the textbook and typography is from the word Greek words. It is a typos means font, form, and graphy means writing. The art and technique of arranging type to make the language it forms most appealing to transparent learning and recognition. Typography means there is a 3 words we have to know: leading, kerning, and tracking. See, leading means line space. Line space means from here I am showing these 2 are the lines. Line 1 is the arrangement. Line 2 is the after space of type faces. In MS Word, you know, MS Word everyone is known that line space that gives 1.1 in MS Word it is. Now I am opened in the PPT, but you know the here it is appearing. Are you seeing the screen?
No, sir, we can't see.
We are
Screen.
seeing the screen, sir. Sir,
Screen.
but your screen is not here, sir.
Screen is appearing or not?
No, sir.
Not updated, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir, not appearing, sir.
Not updating, sir. Screen is not
Wait.
It
updated.
is not appearing.
Yeah. Now
Now it's a technical error, sir.
screen is appearing.
Not appearing, sir. It's a technical error.
So between the lines, that is a simple thing only. Between the lines is a call. Is now screen is appearing?
Not updated, sir. It's a technical error.
Okay.
Multiple screen are updated.
Whatever the screen you are sharing, na, sir, that is buffering, sir.
Yeah, buffering also loaded, but it's a technical error. Sir, off the data Wi-Fi router and data sir, on off the suddenly updated. Hello, anyone hear me?
Yeah, it's
Hello?
okay. Okay, I'm doing
Okay,
that one
sir.
only. Okay, no problem. Even though without screen also we can do it. Uh,
Sir, let's start the topic, sir.
yeah.
It's a technical error. Don't mind whatever
Okay.
the technical.
Okay. Okay. I'm
let's
continuing.
start.
I'm continuing.
Continue,
See,
sir.
the arrangement of type involves the section of typefaces. Typefaces means font. We see in the MS Word Times New Roman Word, Verdanta, Arial. Those are called fonts. Fonts also, and another word is a typefaces. And font size. It is appear in the MS Word. You know it. Font size and typeface, line length. Line length is called leading. In newspaper language, line space. In MS Word, it is called line space. But in technical word, it is leading. Leading. Okay. Is the screen appearing now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
It's a
Okay, let it be. Okay, we will discuss without screen.
yes, sir. Orally discussed.
Okay. Next, typefaces, font size, all it is appear in the MS Word also, everyone know it. Line space we will call in the technical, it is a leading, and adjusting the spaces between groups of letters is called tracking, and adjusting the space between the pairs of letters is kerning. It is clear? Between the letters is called tracking, means one letter to one letter. For example, AND, yes, and space between N and space between D is called tracking. Okay. And another thing is, another word is kerning. Kerning means space between the words. For example, two words I am telling, two words I am telling, for example, is a line length. Line, line is a one word. Lenghth is a length, is another word. Between these two words is called kerning. How much space has to be here follow. Why this is? Because all these works nowadays it is doing by the computer itself only. No need of this. But earlier, when manual composing system is somewhere 20 years, 20, 30 years ago, when they put the letters between in the one casket, they insert the letters in one by one with manual only. That time they have to know how much the letter takes, how much space, how much letter takes between the lines space, how the space takes between the pairs of letters. So just we are here knowing a technical words just for the our knowledge only, but it is not exactly applicable nowadays of the editorial department, right? Leading, tracking, kerning, three words we have to know it. And the textbook, you have a textbook, it is very clearly given in the about the type size, how much inches, picas, points are given. which it was developed by Francis Ambrose and his son Firmin in 1795 only. But this is
So who
not.
sir, the names are mentioned there. So who is the person?
This is a developed type size.
Yeah, it's
They are developed. For example, Newton. Who is Newton means?
yeah,
We could not
Newton
answer. That is a person who developed.
yes,
Is
sir,
a
who
technical.
developed
Is a some
frequency and
worker.
gravity.
Right.
Oh,
So 1 inch is 6 picas. 1 inch is 72 points. But it is now no use nowadays. We are not using for just as a professional. We have to know what is inches, what is picas, what is points, what is font, what is font size, what is learning, what is kerning, what is tracking, just for our knowledge only. It is you will get more questions for from this only in the national eligibility test, state eligibility test.
UPSC also, sir.
Yeah,
These
this kind of
are
questions only.
The UPSC.
This kind of questions only comes in the net and set.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Next inches, inch, you know the inch. Yeah, on the scale we will know the inch, but inch means 72 points.
72
Again,
points.
yeah, inch means 6 picas.
6 picas.
Inch means
6 picas.
6 picas and 72 points. Okay.
72 points, small points.
Yes. Next, letters we know size. Small letters, how much size it is. Capital letters we know. We are saying that capital letters, small letters, it is a student's language. A kid of 6th class, 3rd class, 4th class, 2nd class, 1st class. But technically we have to call it, what is we call as a professional, how we have to call small letters and big letters of English?
So capital and small.
No, that is not. We have to call it is uppercase and lowercase.
Lowercase, yes, sir.
Right?
For heading, use for the heading.
Yeah, uppercase and lowercase.
Lowercase.
That is a font size. In the textbook, we have given some images for your easily understanding. Once look at your textbook, it will be easily to you to understand. Next, typefaces. Typefaces means nothing. It is a font. We see in the MS Word document. If we open MS Word document, there is in a home page, it is font, and beside that font size and font type means Arial, Times New Roman, Times Verdanta, etc. Those are the typefaces, means fonts.
Yes, sir.
Another word is a font.
Calibri, sir. Calibri Times now.
Calibri and many
yes.
up there. In Telugu
Yes,
also, Telugu also there is a number of font faces,
in Urdu,
typefaces.
sir, in page. Yes.
Yes. And another thing, another word is serif and sans serif. We have to know about this also. We'll conclude the today's session because it is at 3 o'clock. Will come another lecture. Will come another lecturer to you. We'll continue tomorrow again. Tomorrow maybe the time, maybe the different time only. I will come for this editing for media. I will inform tomorrow in the group.
Okay, sir. Okay, I will.
Tomorrow I will inform you about my class. I will inform you another time. I will come in another time. I will inform you morning only in the group. Please check in the group.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
It's
for
okay.
joining us.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Avinash, Dr. Avinash.
Hello. Brother, how are you?
Fine.